New independent modelling done for the federal Greens has significantly dropped the expected revenue from legalising recreational cannabis. The party is renewing its drug policy going into the next election. Business reporter Amelia Turzon has the exclusive on this data and she joins us now. Hi Amelia. So what do the numbers show and under what sort of cannabis legalisation?
Modelling done by the Independent Parliamentary Budgetary Office for the federal Greens shows that under their plan to legalise adult use or recreational use of cannabis, they could have around $11 billion in revenue come into the government coffers. And that would be under their plan, which involves company tax of companies that sell and make cannabis. It would involve GST, and it would also involve a special 15% tax on the sale of cannabis in Australia. The Greens policy is really very focused on smaller to medium-sized producers. They actually announced this policy around 2 years ago, and they said that they would make big pharma and big alcohol and big tobacco companies ineligible to sell cannabis in Australia. This is obviously off the back of the long-running legality of medical cannabis. David Shoebridge from the federal Greens says that they want to go much further and bring marijuana use off the black market.
The future that we see is adults being able to make adult decisions about their use of cannabis. When you look at some of the mature markets around the world, it's not a bunch of people lighting up in the street. It's about going to a really chilled out place, a cannabis cafe, a dispensary, and having a cannabis-infused latte after a really intense week at work.
So the expected revenue from the Greens plan, Amelia, is a lot lower than the last time the Parliamentary Budget Office ran these numbers for the party. That was 2 years ago. Why is that?
Yeah, that's correct. So these numbers show around $11 billion in revenue over a decade. The last round of modelling showed much more than that, $28 billion in revenue. And that's interesting because those PBO costings that came out several years ago from the Greens policy were actually challenged by an economist who specialises in cannabis. She said that at the time that she thought the PBO costings were wildly inflated, that they were either predicated on a massive surge in usage of marijuana, or that they had simply got the numbers wrong in terms of the current thoughts around how many people are using cannabis either medicinally or through the black market. That economist has said that she believes the PBO costings that have now been released are much closer to the mark. She believes that they're modelling the sale of cannabis at around $14.50 a gram, which does place it within the price that it's sold on the black market currently in Australia, which is seen as really important for this policy to actually get people not buying from drug dealers, as the Greens want, but buying off legal avenues instead and giving that money back to the government through revenue.
So how likely is it then that this policy will actually get passed?
So the Greens policy was actually debated in Parliament last year, and it was very much shot down by both the Labor Party and the Liberal Party. We have had the coalition which legalised medicinal cannabis use more than a decade ago. We've had them consistently say they don't support adult use legal cannabis. We've had Michaelia Cash, who is their spokesperson, say that she doesn't believe this is a good idea for people's health, that it will be bad for children if they could get access to this, which the Greens says they don't want. We've also had the Labor Party not really want to put out a full statement on legal adult use cannabis. They simply have been saying that they believe this is a matter for the states and the territories. The Greens dispute this and say that because their plan includes tax collection, it is actually a Commonwealth issue. The Greens are saying that they would like to make this a big issue in the next Parliament. They are talking about the possibility of pushing this if a minority government comes to fruition, which of course the party is doing on lots of issues like housing and Medicare. Here again is David Shoebridge from the Greens speaking about that push.
Greens are saying loudly and clearly, we are going to push for legalising cannabis in any minority government and in the next Parliament.